Imagine this: you're lying in bed with someone you care about, your heart is racing, and your mind is swirling with anticipation. But instead of feeling confident, you start doubting yourself. You wonder if you're doing it right, if your body looks normal, or if your partner is enjoying it. And where do these doubts come from? Often they come from what we see in porn. Yes, that flashy, polished world that promises intimacy, but delivers something far different from reality. Let's be real, porn is fun to watch. It's exciting, it's bold, and it often makes things look effortless. But here's the thing: what porn shows you about intimacy is more fiction than fact. It's like comparing a movie stunt to real life Parker. They look similar at a glance, but if you try to copy it, you could end up frustrated, embarrassed, or even hurt. And that's what we're going to talk about today: the myths porn tells us, and the reality of what intimacy truly looks like. First, let's tackle appearance. Porn is full of actors whose bodies look a certain way, not because it's realistic, but because it's designed to grab attention. The lighting, the angles, the editing, they all work together to make bodies look flawless. But real life, bodies come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. Stretch marks, body hair, curves, scars, they're normal and they're beautiful. Intimacy isn't about looking like a movie star, it's about feeling safe and connected with someone. So if you find yourself comparing your body to what you see online, take a deep breath and remind yourself your body is enough exactly as it is. Your pleasure and your confidence matter far more than a picture perfect image. Next, let's talk about performance. Porn is a performance, plain and simple. Actors are following scripts, hitting marks, and often working with teams behind the scenes to make things look perfect. They're not showing you the way people actually feel during intimacy: the awkward pauses, the laughter, the tiny insecurities, or even the moments when things go as planned. Real intimacy is messy, and that's okay. It's normal to fumble, to blush, or to ask for something to feel better. True intimacy is about connection, consent, and mutual pleasure, not hitting a performance benchmark. Communication is another area where reality and porn diverge sharply. In porn, consent is often assumed and verbal communication is rare. In real life, consent isn't sexy, it's necessary. Saying what you like, what you don't like, or asking questions about your partner's pleasure doesn't take away the magic. It enhances it. When you openly communicate, you're showing respect and care, and that's incredibly attractive. Pleasure isn't just physical, it's emotional too. Feeling understood, seen, and wanted is a huge part of what makes intimacy amazing. Let's not forget variety. Porn thrives on extremes, positions, acts, and situations that are exciting to watch but exhausting or uncomfortable in reality. Real life intimacy is rarely like that. You don't have to bend into impossible shapes or imitate complex moves to experience deep connection. In fact, focusing too much on trying it all can take away from being present with your partner. Reality is often simpler, slower, and filled with little moments that build closeness: a gentle touch, a shared laugh, eye contact, or holding each other afterward. Those small moments create a foundation of intimacy that porn can't capture. Another big myth is the idea that intimacy is always about orgasm or climax. Porn makes it seem like pleasure has a finish line, but real intimacy is more of a journey than a race. Sometimes the most satisfying moments aren't about a peak, they're about feeling close, relaxed, and connected. Learning to enjoy touch, affection, and the rhythm of being with someone else can be far more rewarding than chasing a scripted, perfect ending. There's also this misconception about arousal and desire. In porn, desire is constant and immediate. In reality, desire is complicated. Stress, fatigue, mood, and personal experiences all influence how and when we feel aroused. That's normal. A healthy sexual relationship doesn't mean you always want sex or that your partner always does. It means you respect each other's rhythms and work together to create intimacy that feels good for both of you. Patience and understanding matter far more than raw intensity. Now, let's talk about connection. Porn often emphasizes physicality over emotion, making sex look like something you do to someone rather than with someone. True intimacy thrives on emotional safety. When you feel safe, respected, and appreciated, your connection deepens. You notice the small things: how your partner's skin feels, how their body responds, how your energy shifts together. That's the magic porn can't replicate. Real intimacy is an exchange of trust and care, and that's far more powerful than any scripted scene. One of the most important truths is that learning about your body and pleasure is a lifelong process. Porn can give ideas, but it doesn't teach you how to explore, experiment, or communicate safely and lovingly. The best way to understand and see is through curiosity, respect, and honesty about yourself and your partner. Asking questions, paying attention to feedback, and being willing to adjust is far more effective than trying to imitate a fantasy. And here's something that's often overlooked. Intimacy is not just about what happens in the bedroom. It's about emotional closeness, laughter, shared experiences, and mutual care. Holding hands, cooking together, hugging, or sharing a secret. All these moments build intimacy just as much as physical touch. Real sexual connection doesn't start at the bedroom door. It's woven into your everyday life. If you're feeling pressure or anxiety because of porn, it helps to remind yourself what you see is entertainment, not instruction. Comparing yourself or your partner to what's on screen is like comparing your life to a movie trailer. It's incomplete and edited. Reality includes imperfections, pauses, awkward moments, and laughter, and all of that is part of the beauty of connection. So, what can you do instead? Start small. Explore touch, notice how your partner responds, and communicate openly. Celebrate your own body and pleasure without judgment. Embrace the awkward moments. They often become the funniest, most memorable stories. Focus on connection rather than performance. Understand that desire fluctuates and that patience, curiosity, and mutual respect create far more satisfaction than any extreme move could. Remember, intimacy is a shared journey. It's not about impressing anyone or fitting into a fantasy. It's about discovering what feels good together, learning each other's bodies and minds, and creating moments of closeness and trust. When you release the myths and focus on reality, sex becomes less about stress and more about joy, less about perfection and more about presence, less about performance and more about love. You have permission to feel, explore, laugh, and make mistakes. You have permission to ask questions, express your needs, and receive pleasure. You have permission to enjoy intimacy as it really is messy, beautiful, emotional, and uniquely yours. Let go of unrealistic expectations, celebrate connection, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. Intimacy isn't a test, it's an experience, a dance, and a conversation between hearts and bodies. Every step you take toward understanding and enjoying intimacy is a step toward confidence and self-love. And that, my dear friend, is far more attractive and powerful than anything you've ever seen on a screen. So let this be your reminder: intimacy is not about perfection, performance, or the fantasies you see on a screen. It's about connection, trust, and presence. It's about feeling safe in your own skin, celebrating your body, and cherishing the unique rhythm you share with your partner. Every laugh, every touch, every whispered word builds a bond that no fantasy could ever replicate. Release the myths, embrace reality, and honor your own journey. You are worthy of pleasure, closeness, and love just as you are. The real magic of intimacy doesn't come from imitation. It comes from honesty, vulnerability, and courage. So go forward with an open heart, curiosity, and confidence. Explore, communicate, and celebrate every messy, beautiful, authentic moment, because that is where true intimacy lives. And that is where you will find the joy, the connection, and the love that lasts far beyond any illusion. Thanks for watching.